Hey guys, how's it going? This is the install video for the APG Big Brake Kit. We will be installing the driver's side. I already went ahead and did the passenger side just to make sure I know what I'm doing when it comes to filming this thing, because I don't want to be fumbling around and wasting a lot of time just trying to figure it out. So I went ahead and installed the passenger side, and we did run into some issues. If you do follow me on Instagram, you know that I did lose the banjo bolt that goes to the driver's side. So I was not able to install that, but it didn't really matter because I was gonna wait anyway, so that way I could actually put out this install video for you guys. So just in case you are thinking about getting the APG Big Brake Kit, specifically for the WRX or the STI, you guys will kind of know what to do. So I did go ahead and put the rotor in the right direction. I had the wrong rotor on the wrong side. APG made a comment about that. And we're like, hey man, apologize, but it looks like you have the rotor on the wrong side. I was honestly didn't know what they were talking about because I thought it was correct, but here we are. This is the correct orientation. It's kind of hard to see because it is black. But I will kind of explain to you on the ground over here so you guys can understand what I mean. This is what I had on the passenger side. Okay, so let's act like we're on the passenger side, like this way. Rotor is like this. I thought the slots, everything was in the right direction. You have these beaming out towards the back of the car, but they said I had it wrong. Reason why I had it wrong is I wasn't thinking about the vanes inside. I didn't really pay attention, but these are actually directional. If you look at them, they are slanted to help evacuate air or heat out of the rotor. I'm not going to get all scientific. You can look up, there's plenty of videos on that, but I had these wrong. This is the actual driver's side, and if you go this way, this is how it'd be mounted on the car. The reason why you don't pay attention to these slots in the direction of them anymore is because this pretty much outrules it. Once you have a direction on the fin, you go off the fin, not the slots on the rotor. The only time you go off the slots on the rotor is if it had regular vanes that went up and down that weren't directional, similar to my DBA rotor over here, which the pattern is omnidirectional. It doesn't matter what direction. And then if you look right here, these fins are just straight up and down. So this thing could be put on any side. But if this pattern was like this, and then I had slanted fins, then I'd go off of what direction those fins are in. Same as that. So that's just kind of a quick breakdown of that. So you guys don't make that mistake. And then we're going to kind of get started now that I have all the tools kind of pretty much laid out that I need for this. And I'm trying to get the best angles I can for you guys for this video. I was going to get my girlfriend to do it, but she is very busy. She has an exam and all kinds of stuff for school. So I am going to try my best to get some good angles and really document this thing. So first thing we gotta do is remove the rotor. We are on the back side of the rotor. You can see the axle right here, and there's a bolt, 2 bolts that hold this caliper onto this hub. So we're gonna remove those. I believe these bolts are 17, so I'm gonna go ahead and grab the 17 socket, and we're gonna test it out and see if I'm actually right. And I am. So it is a 17 socket. You're gonna want a breaker bar or something because it is kind of a pain in the ass to break these loose, and you really don't want to strip them out. So you want to use the breaker bar right off the get-go almost, if you can. I know I needed to. See what I mean? There you go. One busted loose, and then you want to do the same with this other one. This other one is a pain in the ass, I'm telling you guys. It is. It's a real pain. So you need to find a way to get the leverage you need and get it in there. If I can, yeah. If not, okay, there, busted it loose. Okay, and then I'm gonna give it another turn just in case it is still kind of rough. Well, actually, I'm gonna switch to go ahead and switch to my little ratchet right here. Yeah. Loosen that out. And we're alternate to the top bolt and get it out as well. It's kind of a tight fit, so try. Wait a second. I think I might have went the wrong way. Sorry, let me recheck this again. My bad, guys. Okay, get that. And then this one is kind of a pain, like I said. You don't want to strip this out. So let me find my mallet real quick. This needs to be hit one more time to loosen it up a little bit more. There we go. Didn't loosen it enough when I did that initial breaker bar, because I didn't really have that much real estate to work with to loosen it. So that's how you're gonna do it. And just be careful. You don't want to strip these bolts out, like I said, trying to remove them. So please just try to use a breaker bar or some to remove these, because you need leverage. And if you have some kind of small enough impact that can get to it, I guess you can use that to loosen up, but just make sure it is going the right direction, because you don't want to strip out these bolts. It might not matter too much, because if anything, you'll just strip out, it'll snap the bolt, and then maybe the caliper will fall off, but still, you want to try to remove everything cleanly. Alright, so the bolt is off. If we just pull this off, make sure you have something to set this on. Luckily, it's still hanging here. It hasn't fallen yet. But you want to have some kind of box. Luckily, I have this little jack stand box that I'm going to rest this on until we get the whole line off. Ooh. Sorry. Okay. There we go. We got the rotor resting right there. I know it's getting a little crowded in here. But now we're going to undo. You guys can see. Now we're going to remove this 12mm bolt. And you want to hold on to this bolt, because you're going to reuse this with the aftermarket bracket that's going to be on the brake line. Okay, next we can go ahead and pull off this rotor. It'll come right off, and just kind of get it out the way. And we're going to take off the dust shield. We're leaving the brake caliper resting on this box, and the line is still attached. We're going to get to that in a minute after we remove all this stuff out the way. So hold on real quick. After the rotor is removed, you're going to remove these 12mm bolts. There's 3 of them on this dust shield. I will be eventually putting a dust shield back on when I get the Various Engineering brake cooling kit, brake ducting kit, or whatever you want to call it. But for now, I don't really need these, so I'm going to remove those. And you don't need those bolts anymore, unless, but I would set them off to the side just in case one of those brake cooling kits that you end up getting, if the shields require the stock bolts or not. So I would keep those somewhere safe just in case. Next, we are going to be doing the hard part right here. This is the part that gets people, is people end up either rounding out that little bolt or something, but I'm going to show you, hopefully, a trick that should work. And my trick is pretty much, instead of really focusing on twisting that bottom one, which we know tends to want to round out because it's a very soft material, we're going to actually twist the top one. And that's going to break that one kind of loose. So we're going to put more effort into this one than that one, if that makes any sense. Be careful when you do this. I don't have a torch, so I'm actually going to use a little bit of a lighter. Okay guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and kind of disregard everything I said. Sometimes that method is not gonna work. The other side, the passenger side, was easier than the driver's side. Driver's side, actually had to go to Home Depot and get the torch to heat up that bolt right there where the brake line is, and I suggest doing that first. I would just suggest that overall, is just heat up that flange bolt with a torch and for a good little bit, and then just go for loosening it up. Because I guarantee you're going to end up rounding out. I almost came close to rounding out the bolt, but then I kind of just sucked it up and drove down the road to Home Depot and picked up the torch like everyone recommended. So just go by the torch. Don't risk stripping that out, because who knows what will happen if you actually strip that out. I mean, I don't even know like how you repair that, if you have to go through and undo both lines and then just replace that line or what. But yeah, like, you know, now it's slowly dripping out. I'm going to go ahead and plug that up with the line. Or actually, I'm going to tighten it up for a little bit for right now. I'm just going to kind of like slightly tighten it so it doesn't drip the whole time. And yeah, so anyways, I'll be right back because I got to get ready to start mounting up everything on here. Next, we are just going to be installing this bracket. The bracket pretty much goes just like you see it, like this way, onto the hub back there, onto that bolt, or those holes right there, just like that. And you use the two little bolts right here with some red Loctite. So I'm gonna go ahead and put some Loctite on those, and we're gonna get this ready. The kit does come with Loctite, so you guys don't need to buy any, but you can if you want. This bottle is kind of a pain to use, and sometimes it's hard to get this out. Just, you know, some Loctite on there. Loctite right there. So it's coming out pretty good today. Okay, those are good to go. I might have put a little bit too much, but you know, whatever, should be fine. And so we're gonna go ahead and put the bracket on, and the bracket just goes like I showed you guys. Let me just get this thing adjusted. We're gonna go ahead and put these through like so. Get one started, and then get the other one. I'm sorry, I'm trying to stay out of the way of the camera, but it's kind of hard. You don't have a camera person to film. Then you're gonna just start these by hand. Just start them by hand, and then move on to using whatever size Allen key this thing is. A giant ass Allen key that you're gonna use, and I forgot what size it is. I'll have to look it up, but it's gonna be a giant Allen key that you're gonna use to tighten these down. I just tighten these as much as I can by hand, and then I go on to using the Allen key, which is right here, this giant one right here. I don't know what size that is. Focuses, whatever. I don't know what size this is, but whatever. That is what I use to tighten these down. So
tighten by hand all the way. And then the last thing I'll do is use the Allen key.
I put a little bit extra force. I know you don't want to do anything super tight. You don't want to strip these out, but at the same time, you don't want these kind of loose. I don't know what the torque specs are, because there wasn't any in the instructions. But I just say tighten them pretty damn tight. Next, we're going to install the rotor. And then we will put the caliper on. So rotor is next. Rotor. Okay. And what I do is I grab like two of these lug nuts. And I just use these lug nuts to keep the rotor in place. So when I put the caliper on, you know, I'm not fiddling around trying to get it on there. And it's like nice and flat against there, like how it's going to be on the car. Next is to actually just take off that brake line and put the new caliper. But I'm going to put the caliper, of course, on first. And then we'll do the brake line. So I already have the brake line attached to the caliper. It's easy to do it while it's off the car. It's not too bad while it's on it either, but You know, hey. Gotta take that clip off again, guys. Remember to take it off. Now you can't really see what I'm doing. All I'm doing is removing that clip that held the line on. And then I'm unscrewing the line all the way off. And moving the stock caliper somewhere else. And now we can put the new one on without any issues. You want to do this as quick as you can if you want. I mean, you don't have to, but I like to. Honestly, should have kept that box. Here we go. Where's my box at? Hold the caliper in place. Somewhat hold it so it doesn't fall. Now it's ghetto, but it'll help because I forgot I gotta put the Loctite on these bolts. And then the long bolts are the ones that go straight through the caliper. We are going to go ahead and put it, these long bolts right here. Oh, sorry, you can't get it through. It's not focusing, god dang it. Anyways, you're gonna put it right through the caliper on the backside. You can see there's a hole back there. I can't even get to it. But you guys will see it once you actually have this kit. It's easy to tell where it goes. It goes right through the top, down into there. And you want to start the threads as much as you can by hand. And then you move on to actually using the Allen key. Got it a little bit hand tight. Now I'm going to go in with the Allen key. And we are pretty much done, guys. I'm sorry it's not in depth. I'm going to get the camera angle right now so you guys can see where I actually put those bolts through. So you can see right there. You guys can see it. That is where we have it going through on the caliper. That's where one of the bolts is, and that's the Allen key sticking out. And then there's another one right up top, right here, and right here. That goes onto the mount that we're attaching it onto. So I'm sorry for the angles again, guys. But hey, you should kind of get the idea. Now we have that done. Now let's go ahead and put this line on. You got to take off this bottom bolt that is on the brake line. Focuses for once in its dang life, this camera. Okay, there we go. It's focused. You're gonna loosen this bolt off. You're gonna take it off because this is what kind of is like used as the retaining clip in a way. It's gonna retain the brake line on there. So you take that off. Sorry, I dropped it, and you put it on the bottom part of this. So that way when you put it through, just go like that. And then we're gonna start tightening this down. If I can get this right. Okay. Got so much brake. You want to have gloves on if you can. You really don't want this brake line on you. I'm just trying to get this to work. Once you get that, try to wipe up all this brake line shit off. You don't want this brake fluid all over your parts, especially when it's right near the J pipe. This shit's highly flammable. So clean up as best as you can, and then go ahead and then grab brake cleaner and spray down this whole area after you kind of have everything tightened down. So that way. Okay, I'm done. Okay, and that is how you do it. Tighten that down a little bit more with our line wrench. Remember, you can still end up stripping it when you're tightening. You're not at the home stretch yet. Okay? So just so you know that we're not at the home stretch yet until we get all this locked in. You know what I mean? You know, we're not at the home stretch just yet. We're almost there. Did you guys even see? Ooh. Sorry. I don't know if you guys could see anything that was going on back there. Oh yeah, you can. So that is like what I'm doing right here is just tightening it down. I'm spraying out some brake cleaner just to clean up this whole area, because you want to be able to tell, you want this all cleaned up so you can tell if there is any you know, leaks and shit. You'll be able to tell if there's any leaks in this if you got all this brake fluid, you'll be able to tell. So you want to clean it all up, get it nice and clean. You're gonna put that bolt right here that tightens it onto the mount. Just put it kind of firmly on there, tighten it, not all the way tight, but just, you know, on there decent. You go through and you're gonna make sure all this is kind of cleaned up. I'm gonna even spray off some of these areas I know, like brake on this arm right here where I know it was dripping onto. Because, you know, I don't want this shit catching fire or anything. It's the last thing you want. So you gotta get some brake cleaner, clean up your mess. Okay, that's on there. Got the line on there. Now we got to tighten the little bottom bolt that holds this line in place. Because we don't want it going anywhere. We don't use those stock ones anymore. Those stock ones aren't going to fit. You know, that should be good. It's not going anywhere. It's not going to wiggle anywhere, the line. And that is pretty much it for this install, at least for that part. Then we got to bleed the brakes and all that, so we're going to take a step back and we're going to show you what everything looks like so you guys can see. That is the finished thing. Make sure you route your lines just like how the stock ones were, at least close to how the stock ones were. They're going to be a little different, but because they're stainless steel lines now, but should be relatively easy to kind of route them. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go inside and eat real quick, and then I'm gonna bleed these brakes. Hey, how's it going, guys? It's Friday evening and I have finally completed the APG Big brake kit install. I did run into a lot of issues, and a lot of it doesn't really have to do with the kit. It's mainly it all started because when I did lose that banjo bolt for the driver's side, I needed to order a replacement banjo bolt, and APG was kind enough. They gave me all the specs of the bolt, and that way I can, you know, go and quickly purchase it or order it off Amazon or something like that. So I did find some banjo bolts in the right specs and stuff like that, and I ordered them, and I ordered a pair of them because, you know, these ones don't really look like the ones that came with the, you know, the brake lines for this kit. So I wanted both sides to at least match, so there won't be any weird quirkiness with the brakes or unevenness with it. So I did that. These bolts didn't come with crush washers, and I'm not going to reuse the ones that were with for the, you know, passenger side. So I had to go and get some from O'Reilly's. And then right when I saw them, they kind of looked like something was defective with the crush washers from O'Reilly's. They look like they're all scratched up or something and gouged out a little bit, and so I was like, you know what, let me just try it. It might seal. Unfortunately, it didn't end up sealing. It kept slowly gathering like a little drop underneath the banjo bolt, and the brake line to the caliper slowly started forming like a drop every time. And so of course that's not safe at all, and that you do not want to take that risk, especially with brakes, because you could, you know, end up, you know, not being able to stop and crash into someone, or, you know, die, etc. So I went ahead and decided I was either gonna, you know, take it off and go get new banjo bolts that'll seal, because the driver's side one sealed no problem, because that was in a different set of crush washers from O'Reilly. But the passenger side one, because the crush washer pack I bought, it only came with like a pair of each different size. So you only got one pair, so I had to buy 2 boxes. The one for the passenger side, that box, that one, those ones are all fucked up. The one for the driver's side, those ones were good, and that one's sealed. But, you know, of course, if I'm going to switch the crush washer to a different type, I want both sides to match. So luckily, I ordered some StopTech stainless steel lines, just in case, just to kind of upgrade the stock stainless steel lines that come with this kit to, like, like a different brand one. Luckily I ordered those, and I kind of ordered those mainly because after I lost the banjo bolt, I was like, you know what, let me just order these just in case, because I know these will come with the banjo bolt and everything I need and the hardware, and I could just use those on these brake lines. Well, since I was already going to take off the passenger banjo bolt and line, I decided I'm just going to, you know what, I'm just going to switch both lines to the StopTech, so that way I have no issues whatsoever with, it being different hardware and stuff with the brake lines. At least these have their own hardware, and it should seal and everything like that, and it has torque specs and all that to make sure it seals. So I just switched to StopTech brake lines. You guys won't have to do that, because obviously you guys probably won't lose your banjo bolt and have to go through this headache like I did. So your kit will be pretty straightforward to install, and you shouldn't have any issues. Just be careful when you're torquing down the banjo bolt. Every banjo bolt or kit may be different. I would email APG and ask them, hey, what do you think it should be tightened to? And some will just say tighten until it's, feels kind of tight. I tighten these to 14 or 15-ish foot-pounds, because that's what StopTech calls for on their brake lines. And so far there was no leaks or anything like that before I moved forward with the bleeding process all over again. So my girlfriend came back out, sat in the car, helped me by pumping the brakes and stuff like that, and I went through and re-bled all the different brakes on the car. So I started off from the passenger rear, then I went to the driver rear, then I went to the passenger front. And then when you get to the passenger front, these big brake kits have 2 nipples, one on the outside and one on the inside towards the wheel well. You want to bleed the one on the outside, and then after you got most of the bubbles out and you don't see any more, then go to the one towards the inside. And then once you're done with that, then you go, of course, to the driver's side and begin bleeding the outside nipple, then the inside nipple, and then once you don't see no more, then you're good. Next thing you want to do is come over here, and you want to bleed your clutch just in case there's any air that got into the clutch system. I don't really think there is, but I wanted to bleed the clutch just to make sure, and also to get rid of any remainder of the old fluid that may have still been in the clutch line or anything like that. So, that's generally the procedure most people have told me, and I think there's some people out there that don't bleed the clutch, but since it shares the same reservoir, I figure let me just do it just in case. I want all the fluid to be gone and all the new fluid to be in there, so we have no issues. And all that's left to do now is go bed the brakes in and keep a close eye. After you do some install like this, you always want to continuously check your work and make sure it didn't all of a sudden sprout a leak, or the line isn't wrapped the wrong way, now it's rubbing on something. You want to continuously check until you don't really have any issues and you feel comfortable, then you're good. I'm a paranoid guy, so I will continually be checking this every time I go take this thing out for a drive if the weather's good. But yeah, so that is kind of it. That is all we have for today. Tomorrow we will be doing a seat install on my car. I did purchase a race seat from one of my friends that was selling one used. It is expired, but usually for open lap days they don't really care about that kind of stuff, if it's expired or not. It's only expired by like a year or so or less, so I'm not really worried about it. And sometimes some organizations don't even really enforce it that much either, so we will see how that goes. The install should be good. I have the bracket, the slider, and the chair, and all I gotta do is go over to my friend's house and install it, or he may come over here. So there will be a video for that, and you could check out their cool cars as well. But anyways, I'll see you guys later. Please subscribe and hit the notification bell.